not letting me share it. I'm not sure why. Share to page. Privacy setting on this post means it's not letting me do it.
Says it's on.
Yeah, but it's not letting me share it to my Around Town page, so I am not sure why. Okay. So, but otherwise I've tagged you on it. Okay. Just a second, Dad. We'll have to. Okay. Right. Okay. I got a plan. That'll get it there. And then we're ready. Then it should be on your page and all of our pages that we wanted. Just one more, and then we'll. Okay. Perfect. Now we should be good. All right, should we sit down? All right.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to Around Town TV, the Twin Cities' longest airing television community showcase. My name is Carla Beaurline, and I'm really excited to have on my show my hero and my dad. Thank you for being here, Dad.
Welcome. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, so last April I had my mom for her 75th birthday, and you probably have seen some posts where my dad turned 75. That's, every celebration's a big deal, but that's kind of a really big one.
3/4 of a century, that is huge.
Been further than you're going?
Yeah, I've already been further than I'm going, unless they've raised the life expectancy to 150. So.
That would be great.
Yeah.
For those of you who maybe have seen pictures of my dad, he is a Navy veteran, proud Navy veteran. He's an athlete. He has been married to my mom for 55 years. He's a mentor. He's a friend. He's obviously a father. He also was the 113th employee at Medtronic, and he has over 25 patents and FDA submissions and approvals, and has just been in the early development stages of a lot of medical device companies like Medtronic.
Yes, and I have to say that I've been very fortunate to have been part of the growth, the founding and growth of a lot of those companies. Medtronic was just the first one, and I happened to become employed there kind of by accident, but
that was a good story.
Yeah.
You might want to share a little bit about that.
I was just out of the service, and I was on my way to an interview with, I think it was Univac. I wanted to get into the computer science business, and because I thought that's where the future is. As it turned out, that's where it was. But I was early for the appointment in Roseville, and I was driving around the area just kind of killing time. And I saw this sign in the front yard of a house, and there was a garage there that said, help wanted, Medtronic. And so because my background was electronics, the tronic part caught me.
Right,
caught my
you studied
attention.
electronics in the Navy.
Yep.
Yep.
And so I thought, well, I've got time. I think I'll go in here and see what this is all about. So when I went in, the man that I met and was interviewed by was Earl Bakken, the founder of Medtronic, and he came out and he was wearing his flannel shirt and bib overalls.
And bow tie. Did he wear a bow tie?
No bow tie. No, that was someone else. But he was anyway. They hired me. I never did get to the interview at the other place. So.
And you got into the business.
Yep.
We have some, I'm going to interrupt you. We have, of course, Mom is watching, and two of your other favorite ladies. I forgot to say you're also a brother. Your two sisters, Diane and Carol, both say hello. Hi also to Bridget. And Lolly Hyber, of course, in the early days of Medtronic. She's also on as well. So we appreciate all of you who are tuning in and watching. If you have questions or comments, a lot of you did that before. I'm sharing my hero and my dad, a little bit about his story. Everyone has a great story. And of course, I feel like both my parents have been through, they're the epitome of strength and miracles in the past 6-7 years specifically, and it's just really fun to have you on. We were talking, if you're just tuning in, we were talking about his early days right out of the Navy. He's a proud Navy veteran. He then went and applied. Earl Bakken hired him at Medtronic, and you started in the clean room, right?
I did, as I was a technician testing the first version of the implantable pacemaker.
How funny.
And it was a huge device. It was about this big around, about that thick, and it was battery powered with nickel cadmium batteries.
Wow.
And it was a pretty big device. And but it was so interesting because it seemed like throughout my career in the medical device business, there's always something new.
Right.
And something kind of exciting that's changed the way that healthcare is delivered. And to be part of that, and to be part of someone's improving someone's life and restoring their health, that and getting paid to do it, what could be better?
Well, and we also have both Ed and Lolly Hyber on. Hi to Eric and Mary as well, and with Kathy Kreisen on too. So I've got. The Kreisens and the Hybers are some of the funniest couples, and you met them at Medtronic. How did you guys get any work done?
Well, we worked in different departments.
Thank God.
Thank goodness, yeah. Otherwise, we never would have gotten anything done.
Oh my gosh.
And I have to say too that I have to give a shout out to Ed, because he was just named to the High School Hall of Fame where he went to high school, and he was a tremendous athlete, and it was a very deserving honor. So,
well, and you
way to go, Ed.
Yeah, way to go! Congratulations! And it's St. Agnes, right? School, and hockey, football, and baseball. Like 3 sports. And you said he was really good at
4 years, all 3 sports.
So that's amazing.
Yep.
Yep. And I know you're a great athlete as well. And it's funny because I know all these people, and I knew them in working, and we'd go up north to the Whitefish Chain, another favorite of the Berlins. So, but it's been really fun for us to be able to get to know them as well, and of course your journey in the medical device industry. Talk about the Navy, because I know you are a proud veteran, you're a proud American, and talk about what that means to you and a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was. That was something that I never intended to do, was to go into the Navy at that particular time. I was a freshman in college, and for one reason or another, I lost my student deferment. I think that was probably because my grades fell below the level to keep my deferment. So anyway.
But you were drafted too.
Yeah, that's what made me eligible for the draft, was losing my student deferment. And so I got home one day, and there was a letter from that indicated that I was going to be drafted into the Army. And I thought, well, if I'm going to be in the service, I need to do something that's going to provide some education. And the Navy seemed like the best choice for that. So that's where I ended up enlisting in the Navy. And I went to boot camp in San Diego, which was a real blessing because it was wintertime.
What is the name at Treasure Island? You're at boot camp, right?
No, it was in.
Okay.
It was the U.S. Naval Training Center in San Diego, California, and I went to school for about a year at Treasure Island Naval Station in San Francisco. And
okay.
so that was quite an experience too.
Yeah.
So, and it was a really good school. That's what gave me my start. the electronic field, and got me really charged up to continue my education and keep on going. From the school, I was assigned to, for the balance of my enlistment, to a Naval Air Station in Florida, Cecil Field. It was in Jacksonville, Florida, and that was a blessing because that year, your mom and I got married.
Yes.
November 9th of 1963. And so she was able to join me for those 3 years that I was down there.
And wasn't John McCain in training down there while you were there?
Yeah, and I didn't find that out until just recently, about 3-4 years ago. He was with a fighter squadron that flew the Skyhawk jets, and they also flew the F-4 Phantom jets. Those were just awesome airplanes. And I was responsible for ground electronics maintenance, and that was all of the communications and navigation gear that was used by both military and civilian aircraft. And
before cell phones and computers.
yeah, and at the time we had an experimental thing going on at an auxiliary airfield there. They're called White House Field, and it was a new system called the Pilot Landing Aid Television, the PLAT system, and it was essentially what replaced the LSO, the Landing Safety Officer, the guy that stood on the deck and with the flags and went like this, and so these pilots would be making touch and go landings using that PLAT system as a guide. And later on, I found out that he was one of the pilots in that VF squadron, that fighter squadron that was part of the training.
Wow.
And so.
Well, and you were 6 years then honorably discharged, but you were a petty E5 or E6?
I was E5, second class petty officer.
Yep. And
electronics technician was my trade.
Sailor of the Month.
I was a Sailor of the Month in August of
1966.
66.
Yep. And I was born in 67.
Yes.
Yeah. The next best thing. No, that actually wasn't part of, well, it is kind of part of the story, or I wouldn't be sitting here.
She does belong to me. Well, here, can you see the resemblance?
The blue eyes, yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, hi, Peter. So from there, and then you went to Medtronic, and you started your career. You've also done, a lot. We'll go back to the medical device industry. He's worked at companies like and been in the early development stages of SciMed, which is now Boston Scientific, St. Jude Medical, but you've also done...
Which is now Abbott Laboratories.
Yep, Abbott Laboratories. And he's done a lot with smaller medical device companies. So we know, like a lot of them in the beginning stages, his name wasn't on there, but we know for sure there's at least 25 we found where his name is on like a patent or an FDA submission or approval. But
yeah, there was so many more submissions that I was a part of that, but the company, I was doing those as a consultant, and they wanted their own name on it, so they used usually the CEO's name to submit it. So, but I certainly had a hand in it. And one thing I should mention is that there's many different types of submissions for seeking approval to market a medical device. I don't know of a single one that an individual person had done by themselves.
Right.
It's not something that is. It's not a one-person show at all.
No.
So I'd have to.
Your sister knows that for sure.
Yes. She, and she's been part of that rat race too.
Yeah, she sure is. I have to interrupt. Do you remember Valley Staffing when they were featured on my show?
Yes.
Rebecca Nelson, who became a friend of mine, she said, "Thank you for your service, Mr. Beaurline."
Oh, well.
And she had a heart.
That's very nice.
Yes.
I appreciate that. I always, when I find out there's a veteran nearby, I always stop to thank them for their service, and because I know firsthand what kind of sacrifices have to be made sometimes. Going back, if I could, to my time in boot camp, that was just coincidentally the the time that of the Cuban blockade
Oh.
in 1962, when President Kennedy and Khrushchev faced off. You know, that was a staring match, and the Russian blinked first, and we had a blockade. The Navy had a blockade of Cuba to convince them not to bring any more missiles there and to remove the ones that they had installed there, because there was abundant proof that that's what they had done. And, you know, 90 miles from this country, you know, that's not going to happen.
Nope.
So we were mustered one night, just for no reason at all, while we were going through boot camp, and we were headed for a ship which was going to sail out of San Diego Harbor and down the coast and through the Panama Canal over and join the Cuban blockade and be prepared if there was, you know, hostilities that were going to start. And that was scary. I have to admit.
Frightening for sure.
And right in the middle of that activity, that's when the Russians blinked and turned their ships around, and the whole thing was ended right there. So we were lucky. We were returned to our
families.
The comfort of our bunks in the barracks at in San Diego.
And then eventually back to families. Hi to Dave, Kelly, Michelle, Rachel. Remember Rachel Fletcher?
Oh, absolutely.
Yep, Biggs.
Yeah,
She's
that's
on
nice.
Renee, Jim Frisco, John Hovren. Hello to all of you on. My name is Carla Beaurline, and you're watching Around Town TV, the Twin Cities' longest airing television community showcase. And normally we feature some of the best kept secrets in businesses. And you will see my parents in a lot of my videos and pictures and shows over the years. I had Mom on when she turned 75 in April. And those of you who follow her journey with metastatic breast bone cancer, we're grateful to you. She's a fighter, but Dad also has his story and is a miracle as well. And just a proud Navy veteran athlete, a husband, father, friend, mentor, 113th employee at Medtronic. Has over 25 patents and FDA approvals and submissions. And in something that we can jump to, and we'll jump back to the rest of your story, but we're really excited. I was looking through like his resume and all these classes, because after he was at McAllister and then the deferment didn't work out, I always wondered why you got drafted when you were in college, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
It wasn't going so well.
And actually I was faced with quite a challenge in following my sister at that school, and I think she went through there with I don't know. I think she made the dean's list all 4 years.
I think she was a 4.0.
Yeah, and I did get a couple of professors that said, "Why can't you be like your sister?" Yeah.
Oh, Carol was had written when you were talking about that was the scariest time I can remember in our country. Yeah, and of course I wasn't born, so all I know is I hear about it. So we're jumping, I know. Hi to Mike, hi to Greg, hi to Orly. Talking with my dad here in his story, we were talking about the Navy, then we jumped ahead. I was just going to say, you know, so this guy, college wasn't going well, he gets drafted to the Army, goes into the Navy for 6 years, gets out, goes to Medtronics, in the early development stages of many of the medical device companies, but then education was huge. I grew up knowing it wasn't if I was going to go to college, it was which school. And it was just ingrained. It was because of my hero, my dad. And then he also was taking courses, both, you know, you went at the Office Without Walls, University Without Walls, right?
Yeah, and the university itself.
Yep, took classes.
The University Without Walls was my involvement there was with a nurse who wanted to get into the regulatory field and wondered what kind of curriculum it would take for him to add to his background as a registered nurse to get into that field. And he asked me to help him with a curriculum to be reviewed by this faculty committee at the University Without Walls so that they could approve a curriculum that would lead to a degree program for him, an undergraduate degree. And it actually happened, and he completed it. And in fact, he's still working in the industry.
Right. As are you. At age
Yes.
75, he's still consulting, and the FDA always likes to see his name because they trust him. There's integrity, there's honesty. He's been doing that since he was 26. So, basically 50 years.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
hey, Orly.
it's like anything else. It's about building relationships,
Yeah.
no matter what you're doing. Success is a that's a big part of any success that you achieve.
Well, and one of the things I was saying my dad always education was so important to CJ and I. And when CJ and I both went to Augsburg and graduated, CJ was a great athlete. He was an honor athlete. He was homecoming king. I was a Dean's List double major, 3.5. I think he was closer to a 4.0 triple major, so yeah. And Dad was doing well in the weekend school and taking evening classes. And so I was going through his stuff as his 75th birthday in the beginning of the year, and I knew it was going to be a big year. And at their 50th, we had a huge celebration at Mississippi Dunes Golf Links for their 50th wedding anniversary and their birthdays. And so as I was going through thinking, well, what do you get somebody who's turning 75? And I knew the one thing he wanted was his college degree. So I start looking through, trying to figure out there's got to be a degree in these 6 pages of classes somewhere, and there is. So I reached out to Augsburg College, and they know that he's been a donor. He has spoken, as I do, in Professor Cerrito's class and other classes. He's just really contributed educationally, philanthropically. And so when I reached out, a couple of them reached back and said, well, absolutely. He is a 1995 alum, and we do need to make him one of our own. And so October 23rd, Dad is speaking the MBA Executive Speaker Series, and afterwards, with faculty and staff and family and close friends, we are celebrating Dad's professional development and advancement in education and leadership, and be making him one of Augsburg's own. High five! You did it.
Means a lot to me.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
and it's not the end of it. I'm just,
No.
it's a never-ending process of learning and keeping up with things to stay on the leading edge of your profession.
Well, you always talk about professional development, leadership, education. Peggy Cerrito says thank you for your service.
Oh.
Yep. Peggy, you're invited too. I invited you on Facebook, so I hope you can make it. We would be honored if you would join us on Tuesday, October 23rd. I may even do some live streaming because normally we'd be doing our show at that time. And we're looking forward to that. For those who are just tuning in, we do have a lot of people online. My name is Carla Beaurline. You're watching the Twin Cities' longest airing television community showcase, Around Town TV. And I have my hero and my dad, who we were talking about, a proud Navy veteran, athlete, brother, father, husband of 55 years, 113th employee at Medtronic, over 25 patents and FDA submissions and approvals. And we're just telling your story. What would you say of all those things we've been talking about? I know we talked a little about the Navy and the medical device industry and what's going to happen, but there's a lot in between there. Anything that's been really impactful on your life or that you wanted to talk more about?
Yeah, it's the, I can say it in one word, and it's the good F word, family.
Yes.
Yeah, there's, that's been very impactful on, not only personal gratification, but happiness.
Yep.
And what the family has meant to me, and especially you and your brother. Didn't take much encouragement for you guys to do what you did, and it was your mother and I were so proud of your achievements, and also what you've become, and the success that you had on your own, striking out on your own and starting that business.
Yeah.
And actually, it's still going.
Yeah, it is.
And,
just because I took the show off Channel 6, we're doing more of this in consulting, but you're right. Yeah.
So it's probably close to 20 years by now.
Well, I've got 30 years in the business, but
Right.
the show was on air, it was on Channel 6 for 15 years, and we'll start our 17th year on air in January of 2019. So that's thanks to you.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's, no, it's,
In
you
Augsburg.
did the heavy lifting. So
Well, I couldn't have done it without your support. Dave, I'll have to remember, I can't get the rest of it, of your message, but it says, "Hi, Carla and Carl. I remember the Cuban conflict well. I remember them trying to get my dad into," and I'll have to read the rest of it. We will go back and read all of your comments. If you have questions, feel free to ask those as well. What else?
yeah. Well, for anybody watching who served in the military
Yeah.
or had a significant other serve in the military, thanks for your service.
Yes, thank you for
Sincerely.
your service. You've got two proud Americans here, and I was raised with a man who's taught me about, what is important, how our country runs economically, fiscally. I also, faith, you've instilled that into us, education, which I'm so grateful. And you also let us follow our dreams. And of all people, so when people find out that the Miss America program financed a big chunk of my education, but they think that, oh, her mom must have been like a stage mom. Oh, no, mom did not want me to compete. This guy was well, they both supported me, but he was the one who said, during zits, glasses, and braces, when I was really, young, and I said I wanted to be Miss America, he's like, you can be Miss America. And now I wonder, what did you turn on and go? Yeah. You knew I had potential.
You gave it a good shot.
Yeah, I did. But
sure
back
did.
when I had zits, glasses, and braces. Yes, we will get into that, Mom. And Kathy Kreisen said, congrats. A lot of people don't know, and some do that follow us on Caring Bridge, and they know Mom has struggled. But what many of you, and you know that I do caregive, and obviously he's not an invalid, and he still consults at age 75. But what a lot of you don't know is we almost lost Dad. He actually has a Medtronic heart valve, pig valve. We almost lost him before, during, and after surgery, and I know you don't really remember much of that.
Don't remember any of it.
Thank God. We do. And my mom, the power of my parents' love is really what saved his life. And a lot of you will, wonder, well, why are you single? Well, there's two reasons. I've worked gazillions of hours the last 15, 16 years. But I also never found Mr. Right. And I realized that when I watched the power of their love save his life. And I thought, the man I was with at the time, I thought, oh, I don't think he'd save my life.
No, we won't mention any names.
No, and he's not my friend on Facebook. But then shortly after that, Dad had a stroke, and obviously is doing well and is pretty much fully recovered. And because he still consults, I've said, they said what we'll get in that first year will be it. But we've watched you, especially in the last year or so, consulting. It's like you're pretty much back to who you were before your stroke, even better.
Made a big difference in the recovery, at least for that part of it. My cognitive thinking and ability to solve problems and things like that.
Must be your caregiver.
It has to be, yeah.
No, but he does. He's still consulting, and that whole adage of you rest, I've really seen that happen personally and professionally. And so I know I'll probably be working till I'm 100. But my last job will be at McDonald's, my favorite restaurant, and through the drive-through. And I can't wait, actually, because free fries every day. Oh, Lisa Schleeper. Hi, Carla and Carl. You both look great. Thanks.
Hey,
thank you. We can't wait. We hope to see you in Florida, but I think our schedules are missing each other. But I got to see her and Steve last Friday.
Oh,
Hi
good.
to Ken Berline. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you that are maybe just popping in, my name is Carla Beaurline from Around Town TV. You're watching us live. We're one of the longest airing television community showcase. We are here in the Twin Cities, and I'm lucky enough to have my hero and my dad on tonight, sharing a little bit about his journey and story of life.
Yes, and I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah.
And if I can, I'd like to expand a little bit on the subject of family.
Absolutely.
The good F word.
Yes,
and,
the good F word. Hi, Rita. Speaking of family.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Rita.
Yeah, and I was first of all, I'd like to say a little bit about my parents.
Oh, yeah.
They were two just wonderful people, and they were both good mentors as well as parents. And I got some, I guess for lack of a better term, I got some real inspiration from my dad, who had polio that he contracted in the first wave of it, and I think it was around 1931. And it left him with a withered leg, and he had to wear a brace and walk with a cane for the rest of his life.
And he was a great athlete.
And he was a very, very good athlete and very smart man. And he's kind of set the bar pretty high in that even though he could barely move around, but he managed to get out onto the field and play with us, play tennis, baseball, throw the football. And my mom, she, besides being a pretty good mom, darn good mom. Yeah. One time I wrote a Mother's Day card for her in school. They made us write cards for our moms for Mother's Day. And I thought about it, and mine said, "Dear Mom, you may not be the best mom in the world, but you're one of the best." And of course, they never let me forget that,
Right.
But it was a sad day when we lost those two. And fortunately, I have siblings. My brother Paul and sister Carol and sister Diane.
They're the best.
That they more than filled the void.
Oh yeah.
But
I know you
pretty
did
special.
say to me, I asked him recently, what was one of the toughest moments in your life? Because we've, families all go through stuff. And I wasn't sure what he would say, and you did say that was, probably one of the toughest is when you lost both your parents. And they died 3 months apart, or about 5 months, 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, it was probably closer to 6.
Okay.
5 months.
Yeah, because one was July and December.
And the toughest one was when I had to tell my mom that my dad passed away. She was
she had aphasia. Form of dementia.
Expressive aphasia.
Yeah.
And she knew what she wanted to say, but she couldn't utter the words.
Yeah.
And I had to tell her that he had passed away, and I walked into their condo unit, and the caregiver there was just a special lady herself, Kathy, and her partner Millie. But I kneeled down next to the chair, and I looked up at her, and I told her what had happened. I said, Dad died this morning at the hospital. And that's the last time she looked at me or talked to me. And people said, well, didn't that hurt? And I said, no, well, it made me feel bad at the time.
Yeah.
But but I knew that it was just the news itself that froze her.
Yeah.
It was just terrible news because they had been married and together, forever.
Right.
And so anyway.
And it was hard. So Rita, of course, said hi, Carl and Carla back. Kathy Stoltz, Jeannie's mom, said hi, Carl and Carla, and she said Dave says hi too. So hello to Dave and to Kathy. My friend Barb is watching. Remember John Parkhurst?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Also a Navy. So thank you too, John, for your service. Hi, Carol from up north. Remember Carol, our best server? Yeah, we miss you. And we haven't been up there either. So it's just really fun to have you on the show and share. We've been talking about when Dad was in the Navy and he got out of the Navy. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't know, and I didn't even know, so in between there, and I'm not sure when it happened, when it was school wasn't going so hot for you, but you had tried out for the Twins and you got asked back. Was that right around that same time?
Yeah, it was the first or second year that they were here, and they had like an open tryout. They had the draft, where they drafted players out of college or wherever, or the minor leagues. They brought them up, but they had an open tryouts, and I went on. I tried out, and I got invited back the second day, and I never made it. I got hurt that night. I hurt my back, and I was unable to do anything physical, and was shortly thereafter that school started, and
Then you got the draft.
and then school ended.
And then the draft.
Yeah.
Yep. So you never got to go back. And yes, so Dave Olson is the one who had volunteered with me all those years at CTV when I volunteered.
I remember the name, yeah.
Yep. And he said, I'm the Dave that volunteers with Carla. You're so lucky to not have much trouble with your stroke. And of course, Dave, I can't open the rest of it, but he has had a couple strokes and has not been as lucky as you. He actually has the same scooter that Mom does.
Oh.
Yeah. But he...
Yeah, well, I'm glad that he has something that'll let him be mobile.
Right. Hi, Jim. Hi, Bonnie Wood. She's watching too. We got a great group online. Yeah. So, so then you never pursued professional baseball after that?
No, I played for a Navy team when I was in the Navy, and enjoyed that immensely. And there was a lot of opportunities to play sports in the Navy. Basketball, and then I ended up
playing hockey.
Playing hockey later on.
Until he had a stroke, he did.
I had to quit when I was
71.
71.
Yeah, after he
but
had a stroke.
I had a good run.
You did have a good run, and even Mom took up hockey when she was 61 and got hurt, and so she had to give it up. But yeah, I posted a picture when I was promoting this of you when you were playing hockey, and you were on the senior Olympic team, right?
Well, it wasn't the official
Okay.
senior Olympic team. It was a team that we put together to play in the Senior Olympics tournament.
Ah, cool.
So,
that was cool.
but
they
it
were all
was
very good.
Yeah,
a lot of former pros and.
Yes, they were very good.
Yeah. So it was fun to
one of
watch
them commented. He said, we were sitting on the bench, and we had three of us had just come back from major surgery, and we after our first shift we were sitting on the bench huffing and puffing, and he looked at me and he says, I can't believe you can have so much fun going so slow.
I think there's another one who is at the early stages of Alzheimer's and dementia. Didn't he shoot on his own goalie?
Yeah, he was a heart surgeon, Dr. Love. And the family, called us and told us when he was leaving the house, so that if he didn't show up within a certain time period, we'd have to go out and look for him.
Right.
Because he'd forget where he was going, and he'd just pull over on the side of the road, and we'd go find him. We always knew kind of where to look for him.
Yeah.
And but he'd forget, who he was playing for. He'd shoot on his own goalie, take the puck away from his own forwards. But he was just a delightful guy, and unfortunately.
Speaking of delightful and a great guy, Paul, your brother Paul is online. He said, "Great show, Carla and Bro."
Hey.
Thank you for watching.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was my younger brother, but I got a lot of inspiration from him from a humor standpoint.
Oh, he's funny.
He thinks of the funniest things, and
I should have him on the show.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But we have to keep it clean.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun when we're together. That's one of the things I admire so much about you and your siblings is that you get along, and even though you're all four very different, you have fun, you laugh together, we've traveled together. I've been able to bring them all up north to celebrate birthdays. And
we've been to Disney World, down in Florida together for not as often as we would like, but at least we got to do it. So
absolutely. So what else should we be sharing with them? I know the story because I'm the daughter, and you know it because you lived it. Yeah. But anything else that stands out from your products approvals and submissions to?
Well, I think one thing that stands out to me is how fortunate I've been to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Such as tonight.
Right.
Being here.
No, right.
But over the years, I was fortunate to work with some tremendous mentors.
Yeah.
People like Dr. Walt Lillehei from the University of Minnesota, who pioneered open heart surgery and a number of other breakthroughs. And I got to work with him a couple days a week when he was consulting with St. Jude, and I was working there. And a number of other physicians in that field. There was a Dr. Hunter who practiced at Bethesda in St. Paul, who implanted, he was a cardiologist, he implanted pacemakers.
Yep.
And as part of my training, I'd go watch him implant pacemakers from time to time. And he could install a pacemaker skin to skin. In other words, from the time he made the incision to put it in until he sutured that incision to close up, 22 minutes.
Jeez.
He could do it. But
and that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a very long time ago. But he enjoyed being a mentor and a teacher, as did Dr. Lillehei. And also...
and Walt Lillehei was responsible for the St. Jude devices, or a lot of different products?
Well, he was involved with a lot of different products.
Okay.
And
Yep. Because we've been talking about how my dad was involved in the early development stages of a lot of medical device companies. 113th employee at Medtronic to St. Jude Medical, which is now Abbott Laboratories. Also Boston Scientific, which is a mile from our doorstep to theirs, I believe, or 3 at the most, which was PsyMed Life Systems back then. And one thing, when we were talking about his heart valve, when he knew he had to have a heart valve, the surgeon he worked with, Dr. Bernard Harrison at Methodist, said he knew too much and he waited too long, and it didn't go well. In fact, when they called us back to the hospital, they called us back and told us he wasn't going to make it, and you did. You pulled through. And since then, you've been, not letting any grass grow under your feet. But one of the things he was able to do with his surgeon is go back to Medtronic, because he has a Medtronic heart valve, that Christmas, and talk about that journey. And that was before his stroke. And that when he worked at Medtronic for 12 years, he was part of that, where people would come in that almost died. And they do that so that the people work hard every day understand what they're really doing. The lives are really saving, and the miraculous things the products do. And so that had to have also been, I remember sitting in the audience thinking, well, you said, I never thought I'd be standing here.
Oh, it was very memorable. And one of the impressive things was, it was my surgeon, Dr. Bernard Harrison, who came along. He joined us for lunch, and he's just a brilliant man, an extremely skilled surgeon. And he, first of all, told the story of my disease process, and how it starts and what it does to make your health not go so well.
Aortic stenosis.
Yeah, aortic stenosis. I had a bicuspid aortic valve, which becomes more susceptible to that particular disease at an earlier age. But then he told the story of the disease process, and then I got up and was able to talk about what it meant to me and what happened, to explain to people what my viewpoints about how it affected my life before surgery and then during surgery, which I couldn't say much about because I didn't remember it myself. I had to gather facts and information from the nursing staff and other family members. And then afterwards, what it meant to me personally. So, and one of the great things about that was Earl Bakken, the guy that hired me at that company, Medtronic, was watching from his home in Hawaii via satellite.
Yeah,
and I couldn't help but think about him while I was giving this presentation.
Oh, absolutely, and what that must, to watch people like you give back. So Ruth says hello, which you don't know Ruth. She's been a follower on for a long time. Lolly said Ed said he was 137th.
Oh yes,
yeah.
He was not too far behind
after
me.
you.
Yeah.
Yep. And Kathy Stoltz said hi to Sandy too. She's watching, of course. But no, that was a very important, the journey of life. We all have a story. We all have struggle. People, would know that followed our Curing Bridge site with my mom fighting with metastatic breast bone cancer for 10 years. And then when Dad had that happen, then within an 18-month period from that, he had a stroke, which 25% of the patients do, correct?
Well, it's a pretty high percentage, and most of them are fat embolisms or maybe small pieces of debris of some kind, bone, or that sequester themselves somewhere, and then at a later time they just bust loose, and then they'll travel, downstream until the vessel gets too small to move any further, and that's where it stops and blocks the vessel.
Yeah.
And of course, then that's not good. But I was lucky because it was a very small embolus, and it lodged in the base of my cerebellum, which affected only my balance.
Yeah.
And it was for a very short time. I was able to do most anything after just a couple of days. So,
Well, and one of my clients, Vince, is watching, and he's tall like you, Dad. And so even though it's like, well, just my balance, he didn't want to go in an ambulance. So my mom, we're trying to help him. He's 6'2", and my mom has cancer, and here we are trying to, he from the stroke, his symptoms were like he had had 25 beers. He couldn't even stand up, which is not funny. But at the time, we didn't know what was wrong. And he's like, I'm not going in an ambulance. I'm going in those rides. He had taken a few rides in an ambulance because of his heart and said, no, I'm going in my Cadillac. And now he knows if that ever happens again, we're going in an ambulance. Doesn't matter the ride. It's what gets you there the quickest. And so we're grateful that we got you there quick enough, and that Methodist once again really got you back your health. And he did play hockey for a little while, but the balance just, we had
well,
to.
I figured that I better not press my luck. That I'd, had like I said before, I had a good run, and I didn't want to press my luck any further. And besides, I lost too much,
Right.
Physically. I felt good, I was able to do it, and the doctors cleared me to do it, but I just didn't feel
Which
like
I was grateful.
Yeah.
I mean, you never want your parents to give up stuff. Another favorite, Marge Johnson is watching.
Oh, good.
Hi, Marge. Yep.
Yeah, there was, she was.
Hi, Darcy.
She's the widow of one of my best friends, Vern, and I still think about him just about every day.
So do I. Especially the holidays.
And
we save everything he made for us.
And he had some gestures that were kind of funny, like when you're driving, if you see a car coming
Too close.
perpendicular to you and it's getting a little close, you go like this,
Yeah. Instead of
Back.
the finger, he was always so funny.
He's always going like that.
Yeah.
So we the whole family does that now.
Yeah, we do. We do. For those tuning in, I think we have got a great group online. Thank you, all of you who have tuned in through this. If you've missed some of it, it'll stay on my Facebook, so you can definitely rewatch it. Proud to have my hero, my dad, Carla Beaurline. Yes, I was named after him, Carla Beaurline. And you're watching Around Town TV. We've been talking about a story. Proud Navy veteran, athlete, a father, a husband of 55 years, a brother. He also was the 113th employee at Medtronic, has over 25 patents and submissions of FDA approvals of starting, mainly in the medical device industry, but also various ones outside of that as well. And I remember we were telling the journey of when we almost lost him before, during, and after heart valve surgery, and then he had a stroke. But two of the guys that he's been helping with a product, when they found out he probably wasn't going to make it, they showed up and they told the surgeon, you can't lose him. We got work to do. And it actually made it funny. We all actually started laughing, and they're two of the best. And, I'm grateful. And you're actually working with them again.
That's true. And by the way, by coincidence, this month on the 19th of October will be my 52nd anniversary of working in the medical device industry.
Wow.
So
it's his 52nd anniversary of working in the medical device industry. It's also will be 25 years my mom has survived with not a good prognosis, which dictated my career of surviving breast cancer, and it's breast cancer awareness. And in January, the beginning of January, it'll be 10 years that she's had chemo consistently for metastatic breast bone cancer.
every day.
Yeah, every day. Every day. So when people say, why do you caregive? Your parents can drive and do whatever. Well, mom needs help with everything. So it's nice to be working from here, because between the two of us working from home with all of our meetings and things, one of us can take care of her and she can manage without us.
Most of the time.
And same with you. I mean, obviously has done very well in recovering from your stroke and everything, but there's certain things like not getting on a ladder, and they can live in a house this way, and I can do all of that, or we have people who help us.
Absolutely.
And then
That's the way to do it.
Yep. Yeah, it didn't work well when we were getting ready. When everyone downsizes, that didn't work well. It's like, that's almost like someone saying, well, it's time to go die. And I watched you two deteriorate so quickly in 9 months. I was like, this is not going to work well. And no one takes care of your parents better than your, the ones who love you. Hi to Kristen. Hi to Carol. Hi to James. Hi to Denise. A lot of people are online. What else
That's really good.
haven't we talked about?
Well, let's see. What haven't we talked about? I think we've talked about just about everything that was significant in my life anyway.
Yeah.
And
well, you've been 70 years of best friends with Mom. They were really sandbox buddies.
We met when we were 5.
Yep.
So, but and she, besides the cancer, she also has multiple sclerosis. And she's had that since 1972.
And she was born deaf.
She was born deaf.
Yep.
She could not hear a thing. And her hearing was restored when she was 6 or 7. Yeah, 6 and she had perfect hearing for a little while, but it's deteriorated over the years to where she needs hearing aids now to have good hearing. Without her hearing aids, I think she has about a 95% loss.
Oh,
but
100%.
She also has some selective hearing.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We know when she can really hear us. She plays that one well, but she deserves to.
Yeah, and so it's those days when the MS symptoms combine with the side effects of the chemo, those symptoms, and it puts her down. So she needs our help, and but it's so much better doing it in a home setting.
Oh.
So.
Carol Rubino, thanks for the heart. That's Distinguished Young Women, which we've supported with our Berlin family. Your sister Carol said, Carl and Sandy are 2 warriors and 2 heroes. I agree. But it seems like a lot of people in our family have been 2 warriors and heroes as well. Orly Knutson, thank you for saying very good show. Of course, I'm biased because it's my dad. To me, he is my hero, and I am the person I am today because of my parents. They instilled in us. And since Vince and Kristen from FSBOhomes.com, Woodbury, are watching, I tell him all the time, I've said to him, you never have mentioned any of my clients, other than he supports my clients, but you called me. I was on my way to a meeting with him to tell me what an incredible model it is.
Yeah, because I am familiar with the older models of home selling.
Like real estate agent?
No, well, not.
Oh, the FSBO ones.
Yeah, right, and how dismal it was. But today, the model that they're working with is so much better.
Right.
And it can save you so much money. And it isn't really all that much work. I mean, it is some work. You have to put some effort into it, of course. But
but you do anyway.
But he's. I think he's on the right track.
Oh yeah, definitely. I wished we had him when we sold your Chaska house. I would have been able to sell that house so quick, because you get an honest, unbiased appraisal, priced right, and then the rest a 3D. Here's the thing. So with Mom being sick. We wouldn't have had to leave our house too often, because a lot of people, there's that 3D open house tour, plus the schematic rooms, charts of all the sizing of all the rooms, and then the professional photos. We wouldn't, well, hindsight's 20/20, but now you can hear it right from his, because I always tell him that, and you always wonder, but he wasn't here until a year after we closed on yours. So hindsight's 20/20, but now we know for the future. Oh, Peter Puck says, great interview, look great. Hi, Molly. Hi, Kevin. So great things. Anything else that we should share that I haven't? Anything you want to talk about that I didn't ask you about?
Oh, I think some of the more memorable things, which are just so many that it's going to be impossible to cover, are the friendships, both individual and family friendships that we made over the years as a result of working where I did, especially from Medtronic. We still have friends that we see as often as we can that we first made when we worked there.
Popes, Kreisens, Hybers, Madviks, Vanderkalens, and all of us kids started going up north. Well, they started taking me up to the Whitefish chain when I was 9 months old, but all of us kids, I was at least 9 or 10, we don't see each other a lot, but there's just this bond we had as kids because of you. And it was innocent. None of us got into trouble. I mean, well, today, what would be considered trouble,
Yeah,
is like
and-
nothing. We didn't have computers, cell phones.
Yep, and if you've ever heard the term power lounging,
Yeah. You invented that.
well, we didn't personally. We were with the gentleman who did.
And who was that?
Roy.
Oh,
Yep.
I knew I liked Roy.
And Carol's husband.
Yes, the Popes.
The Popes.
Yeah, they're the best.
And it's where power lounging is where you sit in a lounge chair in the shade on a nice warm day down by the beach, and you have somebody bring you a pitcher of any kind of a beverage, usually an adult beverage, but you just sit there and you watch the little clouds go into the big ones.
Yeah.
That's power lounging.
And we got to do that again for the last 8 summers. We weren't able to go up this summer to Manhattan Beach Lodge. And what's even better, we actually did have people bring us drinks. All of our friend Carol who was on tonight watching.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
just,
some of the best servers. They really
they
took
were
care
awesome.
of Mom.
They were just
Best
awesome.
food, our silver oak wine, and our prime rib. There is no place better than the memories we've created, and we're thankful for that. And this show has allowed us to create some pretty incredible memories with your boat
Yes.
club and going up to the Whitefish chain with the Whitefish properties.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're heading to Siesta Key soon. We can do a little power lounging there.
Absolutely.
Watch the overachievers run by on the beach.
That's something you have to practice to keep that skill
Yeah.
sharp.
Yes.
And so we'll make sure that that's on the agenda.
And we're going to be celebrating their 55th wedding anniversary. Of course, their 75th birthdays. I'm 51. So, and being named after you is pretty special. But CJ, my brother, is also named after her. He's Carl. And so they didn't have a lot of creativity. And then Mom is deaf. So that was kind of cruel.
Yeah.
Especially before cell phones and texting and oh, poor Mom. But oh, Patty and I enjoyed waiting on you guys. Hugs to you all. Oh, please give her a hug as well. We really loved you guys. You made it so special for us. So we're grateful. Thank you for hanging on and watching. Anything else we should talk about? We've been on almost an hour.
Oh my, I didn't realize that.
I know. In fact, your water isn't within reaching distance.
No.
I thought, but you didn't need it.
No,
we're good. We missed Dancing with the Stars. So thank you for all of you who tuned in and
Yeah.
missed that. I had to record it. That's like my show, my guilty pleasure.
Oh, should have everybody over to watch it, huh?
Yeah, you want to come on over? Oh, yeah, we can watch it on this TV as well. But anything else you want to share or say?
Yeah, well,
or-
only to say that I would send my sincere thank you to all of the servicemen and women, wherever they might be, and thank them for their service. And I also to encourage people to keep those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, to keep them in your thoughts and prayers, and their families as well.
Yeah.
I lost an uncle in World War II, and I lost some friends along the way in the Vietnam War, and quite a few actually.
Mm-hmm.
So don't lose. Keep them in your thoughts.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Yep, absolutely. Nope. And not only keeping them in our thoughts, our country is so divided right now, and we're seeing so many different things, and people, it touches home on a few things that have happened to others, and then I see them post. And, we do live in a country of where you're innocent till proven guilty. And I'm seeing a lot of hatred and I've just been watching this for the last several years. That's one thing I have to say. You know your politics, Dad, but you also let us make our decisions, but you also don't have hate. Just because you didn't vote one way or another or whatever, you just thank you for that. Because, some of the stuff I see on Facebook, it's like.
Well, one thing that I can say that I do is my homework.
Yes, he does.
I make sure I know want to know what I'm talking about, and I want to be. And I've told when I've coached some of the Miss America candidates.
Yes, he has. He's been an interview coach for Rebecca Ye, who was 4th runner-up to Miss America.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all I encourage them to do is, you don't have to take sides, but you have to be able to argue both sides.
Yes.
And then make up your own mind but do your homework before you jump in. So
Right, right. Yep. Nope, I agree. Well, I think we've covered just about everything. It was a good
Yeah.
show.
Well, thank you for having me on,
Yeah.
and I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
And
Very proud of
you know
you.
what you've done and how you've gotten to this point. It seems like every year you've done something to add value to it, and that's really good.
Well,
So,
it's been fun to stay on the cutting edge with this live show. I'm thankful to my partner in crime, Diana Pierce, who has been able to work alongside me and help me keep this this live streaming thing. We thought the millennials could teach us. Not many knew. We thought some of our seasoned veterans, not many of them. However, I did meet somebody recently, Stuart Devon, who I think that's how you say his last name. He has been a pioneer in this industry, so it was fun to meet somebody with experience that allows us to keep going. Your twirling daughter, Gina Lloyd, is on.
oh, cool.
Yeah, so thank you, Gina. So it's been fun, and I'm proud of you, Dad, and we're excited to honor you on October 23rd at Augsburg University. Dad is going to be made one of Augsburg's own. He's a 1995 alum, and they're honoring him. He's going to be speaking in the MBA Professional Speaker Series, and then afterwards is being honored for his professional development, his leadership and professional and leadership and advanced professional development and education. There, I think I got it. A lot of wordiness there, but and we're really proud of you. So
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yep, and happy 75. Super interview, Rocky. Thank you, Rocky. Well, super interview because he's a super guy and he's my hero. Thank you all for tuning in. Go ahead.
Oh, I just want to mention that Rocky's dad did a wonderful job years ago painting our boat,
Oh, yeah.
the Queen Mary.
He did. Thank you to Rocky's dad. And hi, Kate, my friend Kate from Florida. We should hook up when I'm in Florida, by the way. But yes, he did. He did a great job. For those of you tuning in right now, and you tune in every Tuesday, Dad won't be on next Tuesday, but we always have a great subject and guests. I'll be promoting that by the end of this week. We have a change in schedules, but we always go live at 7 p.m. If you can't tune in, the show is always streamed online forever. And it airs on 18 different platforms, including my website. So it's been a fun way for us to continue to feature Minnesota's best kept secrets and businesses. We are the Twin Cities' longest airing television community showcase. This is the 251st episode of Around Town TV. Minnesota's lifestyle and business experts. It's just been an honor and a pleasure to work with all of you and to have all of you support us. So I really, really appreciate it. And I hope that you all tune in next Tuesday. Thank you again, Dad.
Okay, thank you, Carla.
Hug. Yep, and we'll see you next time on Around Town TV.
Thanks for joining in.